bituminated. I'm putting all my stuff in the right place. And get my brush. Hello, hello everyone. Welcome back to another art stream. Guess what we're back to? We're back to the glorious glory of backgrounds. Hooray! Oop, of course, that's always too big. The glorious glory of backgrounds. It's back once again. We love them Bee Gees. It's probably gonna be on this for a while because this particular part has some pretty complicated backgrounds at parts. I'm gonna be using some smart objects back in Photoshop for some of them, so I might skip some of that today. But gotta do it, gotta do it. Hello, thank you for coming. Appreciate you being here, especially for Background Town. Because I'm getting drawing Background Town. I will try and I was probably going to be on stuff for Eldritch Moon Ending for a while, I think, because I still need to start working up the next comic to work on. And yesterday I wrote the script for it, and I was like, okay, surely this will be a shorter one, right? Finally, after 19 pages for ERAM, this one will be shorter. No, it was 3.5 pages of script. So I'm like, okay, never mind. This one will take a while as well. At the very least, the backgrounds for that one, I probably won't even do those on screen because I'm gonna cheat a bunch of them and be like mist and flat ground and stuff, like nothing even to draw really. So that's a plus. But it'll be a bit before we get to those, so we got to work on ending stuff for a little while. And for that, I'm gonna try and switch off between stuff for backgrounds and stuff for like characters, so it's not just backgrounds all day every day. But I am slowly getting through them. This is backgrounds for part like 13 out of 20, and the last like 6 or so, like parts 15 through 20, I think I'm going to it's all in the same location, so I'm going to try and reuse as much stuff as possible. Good morning. Hello, hello. Thank you for coming. Hope you are doing well. It is a decent, nice day today. When I'm done with this, I'll have to go run an errand. It won't be long. But in the meanwhile, we're drawing buildings. I'll have to do a bunch of interiors in a bit. So we'll see how far we get in this. I know it will, especially once we get again to parts 15 through 20. I think I can only share backgrounds for that because I'm like, shoot, I think like story-wise, doing anything with the characters would be too much of a spoiler. So I'm gonna have to not do those on stream. A new Undertale OC. What kind of OC are you doing? Is it a monster? That is a really fun thing I think about Undertale stuff, is that like OCs are really fun to make for Undertale. You can be very creative, like do all kinds of weird little things. One of the common monsters? Yeah, exactly. That sounds fun. Unique one character, like a species? Yeah, that still sounds super fun. What kind of species? There's so many possibilities. I really appreciate the fact that, when it comes to monsters, it's like, you can do whatever you want with this. Like, you want to do an object head? Do that. You want to do a weird slime? Do that. Want to do a traditional monster? Do that. Want to do some scribbles you did in, like, middle school? You can do that, too. It's all good. I think that's neat. Well, opens you up for like a lot of different experimentation stuff. Good morning. Thanks a bunch for coming. Appreciate you being here. That is true. That is true. There is a difference between like monster and Darkner stuff. I actually, in some ways, like especially like with Undertale monsters, I think you have a lot more freedom to be a little bit wild than you do with Darkners, because with Darkners you gotta like, okay, think about how does this relate to like an object or, you know, object like concept sort of thing. Darkness can be a lot of anything. It's mostly like, okay, if you were taking an object or like some aspect of play or games and imagining this as a person, what would you do? I don't know. I don't see why a Darkner couldn't be a tank. I guess it depends on, like, you mean like a tank that's a person or whatever, or like an object? I mean, probably. Still gotta do it within, like, the parameters of, like, you know, of play, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what the Thrash Machine is, isn't it? It's basically a tank. You can certainly make it tank-like. Thrash Machine's whatever your heart desires it to be. It can be a tank, it can be a duck, it can be a tank duck. Which is sounds like a horrible crossover between Tank Girl and Howard the Duck, so maybe never mind. Never mind about that. Yeah, it really just kind of depends on, like, again, what do you imagine out of this thing? Do you imagine this thing as a weapon or an object or an item? Or do you imagine it as a person? It can go either. Sometimes it does go either way. Like, think about Wingblade. Wingblade is both a monster, like a creature you can encounter, and it's also a sword. It can dual purpose itself, which is definitely kind of interesting about Wingblade. I kind of wish that was explored a little more. That basically certain objects can dual purpose themselves as either people or objects. Equipment versus the baby version. I don't know if they so much as grow up or anything like that. Like, you look at like Lancer's like, oh, Dad! Like, I don't think he was actually born or anything. I think it's basically just a role they play because they are objects acting out pretend. The history they have is the history that Lightners have made up. That they have participated in. This kind of makes me like, goodness gracious, I wish I remembered like all the little characters me and my brother invented for our games when we played together when I was very young. Like, we had this big, you know, epic grand stories going too that we would use with like really random objects, not even like proper toys, but just like really random, like it was sometimes toys, but we really would like take it like a checker piece and be like, this particular checker piece is like the special guy and stuff like that. So I kind of wish I could remember what they all were so that I could like design what they would be like as Darkners. Like, there wasn't much rhyme or reason to it. It was just kind of like, we decided this guy is like the king of the bad guys. Why? We just decided that. Don't question us. Hello, hello. Thank you for coming. Again, get ready for Background City. Literally. Like, if I was trying to design a monster for Undertale, I think I would try and go back to like old childhood doodles or something like that, or like stuff I've done from Waking Up drawings. Which I am trying to get back into. I had some wild dreams last night, so I tried to draw a little bit from them, but I feel like in my sleep cycle now they finish way before I wake up, so I'm already forgetting a lot of them. Have I heard of Mouse PI for Hire? I have not. That kind of sounds like an older show. I'm thinking of Danger Mouse, but that's not the same thing. I know Danger Mouse was like a British show. Ugh. I would not wait for hours and for that. Gotta do backgrounds. They are a necessary component. Of anything. And heck, I know mine often aren't even as detailed as some people's backgrounds, where they really, like, build models and stuff and really lean into it. First-person shooter drawn in the rubber hose art style. Huh, kind of like a different take on Cuphead, I guess, since that's rubber hose as well. But first person is interesting. I wouldn't think to put to combine a first person with a rubber hose style. I almost kind of see that working more as like a Doom clone or something like that. Something with tank controls. I don't know. It released a few days ago. So many things out. So little time to play them. Everybody I know is playing Tomodachi Life now. That's like what half the posts on all my socials are. Like, here are my guys in Tomodachi Life. And I feel a little weird that I have no interest in Tomodachi Life. I'm like, that's cute. I don't really want to play that, but I don't know. It's probably because, like, I guess basically games that are like Sims and dress up just aren't super appealing to me. I really like having a narrative for a game. And like, if I have to invent my own narrative for it, then I might as well, like, either, you know, write an actual piece of art, write a story, or like play D&D or something with like a little bit of rules attached to it. Oh, is it a... Well, it would have to be a certain version of Mickey Mouse, because, like, only the Steamboat Willie, like, old school version of Mickey Mouse is in the public domain. The actual character, like, this is a separate character. We've designed him differently. So, like, he's... that doesn't count. Yeah, I don't mind it clogging my dashboard. Like, it's like, okay, people are having fun with it. That looks cute. Like, that and Pokopia. Lot of that, which Pokopia, I guess, is like Animal Crossing but Pokemon, and I should like that because I do like both those franchises, but I don't know, I guess I'm just busy. They can. I find it so funny that like the original versions of Mickey were just like, he's a total jackass. He's a scoundrel, scamper. But I think that was true of a lot of things, because they were much less concerned about, a corporate image than they were about make a funny cartoon. And it's always funny to see, like, a little guy, you know, torment people. That was pretty much how it went. Little guy torments people. Yeah, I also don't have a Switch, too, and I don't super intend to get one anytime soon. I probably will at some point if there's something I'm like, oh, I have to have that. Like, especially if the new Pokemon for the next gen of Pokemon looks really good, I'll be like, okay, I'll shell out for the Switch too, but I don't need that at the moment. I'm doing alright otherwise. Yeah, I don't mind all the Tomodachi Life posts. I'm just like, none of these fill me with... they don't fill me with FOMO. I feel like a lot of people got Tomodachi FOMO pretty bad, and I'm like, okay. Not me, I guess. I don't know why. Again, probably just like dress-up games are not my... dress-up games and sim games, not my preferred game. That's fine. I kind of feel like OCs are really hard for me to come up, like, separate from anything else. Like, people are like, these are my OCs, and, you know, I have them, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's cool. I can't, like, make an OC that's, like, independent of a narrative. It's really hard for me. If I've come up with, like, characters that have been... I have come up with, like, characters... OCs for like a fan fiction thing, and then I like repurpose them into like an original story, but I can't really have them be free floating. Yeah, I guess there is some kind of element of RNG to it. It must be. 'Cause otherwise, if you could just Sims them all over the place, you could, play dolls however you want. Yeah, I guess that could be fun. Like, do your own spooky jam jar. I think I saw like I've seen a lot of Deltarune ones, and those are all cute. But one that made me kind of laugh that I saw was somebody had put together like Goku and Ursula K. Le Guin, the author. And I'm like, I don't know what led to this series of decisions, but that's funny. It definitely, at the very least, seems like there's a good deal of customization for it, and that's cool. I don't know, I happened upon a thing on Tumblr of like a black streamer who was going through Tomodachi Life, and she was just delighted because there were actual, like, a good variety of black hair choices, when normally for those kinds of games you get like one or two. So I'm happy about that. Hello, thank you for coming. We are in Background Town. It's Background Town and it's on fire. Oh no, Background Town. And my fake medieval building, vaguely medieval. What I do find interesting about the Tomodachi Life stuff is, like, especially because I've seen a lot of Deltarune ones, it's interesting how people will, like, interpret the same characters different ways. There's, like, not one set thing to do. I don't, you're gonna have to see, yeah, you have to send me references, because I don't remember all this. I don't even remember how to draw Solano, necessarily. It was doomed to be burned from the start. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it seems like the point of Tomodachi is virtual doll. Which, that is totally fine. People love them a virtual doll. I won't begrudge anybody that. But I am not super invested in that kind of thing. Oh, she's like a gray parrot. Okay. Oh, this must be from the comics. Yeah, no wonder I have not heard of that. Okay. Comic exclusive. Makes sense. Where can I stick this? I think I might have to go down here. From the season 10 line. I see. Yeah, at least with the comics, it seems like they, we're able to do a lot of things that we couldn't do on the show. Had to go through, way more scrutiny on the show, I think, than in the comics line. And her girlfriend. Feel a little better doing it with big eyes than the other way. Actually, I don't know, maybe I don't. Ugh. Okay, looks better that way. You can do lots of stuff in comics that you can't in TV. Of course, then, because you get to do all these cool storylines in comics, then TV and movies are like, well, that looks cool, we want to do that too, but now that we've adapted it, now you're paying attention to it. It's like, but you weren't going to do that in the first place. You had to have a comic do it for you first. Alright, let's see. You have to forgive me. I haven't drawn this version before. Also, I probably should give her her eyebrows. Yeah, she looks like an African gray parrot, as opposed to the main pirates that are like traditional green parrots. I still kind of miss the fact that, we could have had them as like these cool kind of like creepy harpy characters. But it is what it is. And her girlfriend. Yeah, she does look more like a bird. Mostly because she doesn't have like the big feather ears. Which I gotta love me a big feather ear on a bird. Not gonna lie, for obvious reasons. Okay, good grief. Big hug. Hug. And I'm trying to bounce between these references. And I can't remember which. Yeah, no, it's all those are. I'm probably not going to do a full body for these just because that's a bit much, but we'll do like waist up. Waist up's fine. Uh-oh. I'm assuming that's I'm assuming that's a shirt they're wearing of some kind, but oh well. Are they pirate friends? I should read the comics more. Okay. There we go. Bird hug, bird hug, bird hug. I have seen the new Coyote versus Acme poster. I'm excited. I'm so glad they're finally releasing that. So that I can go and see it. After Warner Brothers' dumb shenanigans. Okay. We're back to this. Yeah, I am excited about seeing that movie. And I do want to see Digital Circus in theaters. I gotta get tickets. Unless my friend has already gotten them, but I gotta assume that hasn't happened and get tickets. Though I don't think they were available yet. I said they're gonna be available at like end of the month, so I'll double check. But I'm sure it'll be playing around here, so I gotta do that. But yeah, I'll go see Coyote versus Acme in the theaters as well. So I did see The Day the Earth Blew Up in the theaters with some friends. It was like all animators in the theater. It was kind of funny because like watching this movie, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a great movie for kids. This is like a lot of stuff kids would enjoy. And yet the movie theater was like, there's not that many kids. It was mostly older animator people in there, and I'm like, children, get off the internet. Come see the funny cartoons. These are hilarious. Just we were howling with laughter at all the Farmer Jim stuff in The Day the Earth Blew Up. Yeah. There was not much advertising for it. That's true. That's true. It's too bad because it was a pretty fun show. And not that much traditional animation gets to the big screen nowadays. There's a thing with Avatar which happened, which is just awful. I'm so sad that happened. I want to watch it. I don't want to watch a leak of it. I want to see like it in the actual theaters or something. But good grief, I don't even know what the situation is with that. Disrespect towards Looney Tunes. Respect your elders. Looney Tunes always good. Not always good, but like most of the time it's good. You can't just regulate this to like Space Jam nonsense. Please watch the actual cartoons. No, Twitch, stop that. Twitch, stop being a butt. But yeah, I really hope people go see Coyote versus Acme when it's out, considering the absolutely awful situation it went through. The OG Space Jam is pretty good. It is very advertisement friendly. Like it's like, oh, we've product placement our way a lot around here a lot. the OG Space Jam, pretty decent, pretty fun, even if it is, you know, very, very much buy all our playsets and toys. But my friends and I, we watched Space Jam 2, and we were just like, ugh, what's going on? This is awful. Very much like, well, what if we did Ready Player One, but all of our Warner Brothers properties? And it's like, oh, guys, why are you putting the Clockwork Orange people here? Please, stop that. This is a thing about basketball. I haven't seen Back in Action. I should probably see that. I heard that was pretty decent. Gotta get to it. But yeah, Space Jam 2, not good. It was bad. Oh yeah. No, the propaganda cartoons in the 40s are fascinating. I haven't seen many of the Warner Brothers ones, but I used to have like this really fancy tin with DVDs of all the Disney propaganda cartoons, the wartime propaganda cartoons in the 40s. And those were fascinating for me to watch. I can't find my tin of it anymore. I don't know. Maybe I left it back in California. But as long as you go into the mindset of like, oh wow, some of this stuff is extremely racist, you know, especially against the Japanese. It's still a really neat piece of history. The ones I found the most interesting, like the please get vaccinated one, is I think we need that one today. The by war bound stuff was weird. The original Chicken Little they did for the Disney one, very interesting because it ends with like Chicken Little and all his friends getting eaten by Foxy Loxy. Like that's how it ends. It's not a happy fun time one. Oh yeah, I can see that being true because no that's not how it was. Yeah, I need to see like the Warner Brothers ones. What I found especially funny is like they must have shown some of these on TV at some point, and I don't know why. Because when I was like 5 years old or whatever, my family taped a bunch of Disney cartoons off of TV that we would watch over and over because we didn't have much at the time. We didn't really have that many videos. And one of them was this one I didn't really understand as a 5-year-old. And it was a Donald Duck cartoon, and it's like, taxes to defeat the Axis, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, oh, look at Donald Duck trying to save money for stuff. And then I watched it like years and years later when I was in high school. We dug it up or something, or we got the actual box set. And this cartoon that I had seen multiple times as a 5-year-old, I watched again like years later. I'm like, wait a minute. There's a Hitler mecha in this. This is wartime propaganda. You taped this off the TV? Huh? What was doing there? It was just such a shock because I didn't know what that was when I was like 5. It was just Donald Duck. and like, taxes to defeat the evil destroyers of freedom and democracy. And I'm like, you know, we could probably use those now, to be honest. But it was just such whiplash. It might have been in a museum. Yeah. It might be. Did Warner Brothers release like a box set of their propaganda cartoons the way Disney did? I feel like they did. I haven't seen it. I think Warner Brothers might be a little bit more cautious about that because I think they went heavier on the racism than Disney did. Like, Disney was definitely racist, but I think in a couple of their cartoons. But I think Warner Brothers might have leaned into the racism for comedy a little bit harder. If I recall correctly. Like, there's some, like, oof ones in there. I mean, there's definitely some oof ones for the Disney ones, but some serious oofs. But yeah, like, as long as you go in with the context of, like, hey, this is why this stuff is made, yeah, it's racist, then it can still be an informative watch if no other reason. Huh. Yeah, I don't think I've seen any of like the ones that were just for intended for soldiers. Like I think all the Disney ones, I don't think there was any that were like um intended just for soldiers. There probably were ones that were like broad mass appeal sort of thing going on, so it would have been shown both to soldiers and back home. Yeah. Yeah, I do think Warner Brothers was a little bit better. Like once they put out their cartoons, they did have the disclaimer. Disney had like Leonard Maltin in the front of theirs, being like, "Hey, this was what came out at this time. It was pretty racist, but here's what was it like at the time, kind of thing." Oh, Song of the South, good grief. All right, I'm gonna get it for my stretch break, but Song of the South, yeah, not a great movie. I've seen it multiple times, and it's boring. It's racist and it's boring. But like mostly what it has going for it is like Zippity Doo Dah is a fun song, and there's some cute animation, but aside from that, it's not really worth it. Yeah, exactly. Like it's important to keep a have this stuff available for archive. Like you probably shouldn't be showing it to random kids nowadays. Again, I don't know why my parents were able to tape a Disney propaganda cartoon off of TV for me to watch when I was 5. Like, were they airing that just randomly? They just found it in the archive and they just put it up and didn't think about it? Or was there like a disclaimer beforehand? Because it's a straight up like propaganda cartoon. It's very much like pay your taxes in order to fight the war kind of thing. I don't understand why that was like on television in the 80s. What was it doing there? No, I'm curious. They must have had some kind of disclaimer for it, but I don't know what it was because it was just the one cartoon. Splash Mountain does not have those mascots anymore. No. It did for a very long time, and it's kind of weird to think about because you would think, oh, Splash Mountain has been around since like the 60s or whatever. No, they did Splash Mountain with like Eisner in like the 80s or 90s. It was not that old of a ride, but they replaced Splash Mountain's like Song of the South characters with Princess and the Frog, and I still haven't been on the Princess and the Frog version. I've heard it's not as good, just like in terms of a ride story. It's just like okay, because definitely and I'm speaking just about Disneyland Splash Mountain. I haven't really been on the Disney World one, which I think did the same thing. I'm pretty sure none of them are Song of the South anymore. On the one hand, like, yeah, it was good to get rid of the Song of the South characters because, like, the kids didn't know what they were. They thought it was just like, oh, characters just for this ride because Disney stopped promoting Song of the South because it's boring and racist. And it only appeared on this ride. And it's kind of rough because the ride itself is suited best for those characters. It was kind of difficult to slap on Princess and the Frog for it. Yeah. In the ad zone, sorry. But yeah, no, I remember going on Splash Mountain multiple times when they still had the Song of the South characters, but they are gone now. Welcome back. They've changed a bunch of rides over the years, some for the better, some for worse. Like, for example, I think Disneyland has a much stronger, like, group of people that are into preserving its history and stuff like that. They don't want stuff changed. Like, for example, the Tiki Room has not changed since it came out in, like, the 50s. Aside from, like, little technical upgrades. At least the one in Disneyland. Alright, I'll be right back for one more stretch and water and stuff. Alrighty, I return. Back for more on this stuff. We're back for more. But yeah, like, Tiki Room hasn't changed. Space Mountain hasn't changed. Really, in that time. Let's see what else. Thunder Mountain really hasn't changed either. Some stuff has changed though, like Tower of Terror changed. And I'm kind of sad about that because I actually really liked the original theming for Tower of Terror with Twilight Zone. I think that was really fun. Although, on the other hand, I did not go on Tower of Terror very much because I do not like drop rides. Drop rides scare, like, I'm fine like a roller coaster and stuff. I'm cool with loops. I don't like drop rides. So whenever we went to Disneyland, like, a friend had to bribe me with a churro to go on Tower of Terror. I'm like, I don't want to go. Okay, I'll do it for a churro kind of thing. Oh no, pancakes. No, got to get your delicious pancakes. Go to the store and get some egg. Or talk to a man behind a tree. Whichever one you want. I gotta go to the store anyway because when I ordered my groceries, they didn't have yogurt. So now I gotta go get yogurt from the grocery store myself. Egg. There's no shame in an egg. Forgotten Man, what is your deal? Forgotten Man's like, I remember the Disneyland rides. I remember before they changed the submarine ride. Would I do it for a Lynx snack? Yeah, I probably would do it for a Lynx snack. AKA a churro. Nintendo Easter egg game promotion blurb including Deltarune. I don't remember this. What was this? Was this like showing off Easter eggs in Nintendo? Like, here's your literal egg. Also, I think this would be better if I... This all in one line, but whatever. List of games that has eggs as a common thing in them. You won't get it through your teen years without at least one egg. It's like, hey, is that a man with an egg? Well, there's a man here. He looks happy to see you. Man, you know what would be really terrifying is if, like, we get to the Eggman in chapter 5 and then it's like, there's a man here. He's not happy to see you. I'd be like, oh no, we pissed off the Eggman. Oh no, that like that would scare the hell out of me in ways I can't begin to describe. I don't know why. Like, what did we do to make you mad, Eggman? Alright, 14's coming out with a new patch. I don't know much about it, but I know one of my friends I follow who's big on 14 is excited because I guess there's some stuff with glamours you can do now that you couldn't before, so that's neato. That's neato, burrito. Oh, wow, there's not a man here. Oh wow, good for her. There you go. We're very proud of her. Sonic Deltarune crossover confirmed. What are you two fucking talking about? I gotta finish that Snapcube video sometime. That's where all the jokes come from. No, they have glamours and stuff, but I think this was like you can use glamours in certain situations that you couldn't before, or you can store them a different way. I don't know. It was some upgrade to glamours. Oh, yeah, Beast Tamer job. That's right. Oh, it was restricted to certain classes. Okay, that's what it was. Again, I know very little about 14. All I know is, like, the little bits I absorb from my friends on Blue Sky and in real life who play 14 and talk about it. And I have to be like, okay, I will do my best to try and follow, but I probably will not follow along well. I'm happier having fun. I could never play 14 because I'm the kind of person who would just like completionist it, and I would never get anything else done. And I got too many projects for that. Sorry, 14. I'm sure you're good. What? Kris Dreamer is not a bitch-ass motherfucker. Kris Dreamer is a kid. Okay, good. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna be a little petty and mean here. Like, normally, I'm not a, gonna harp on the way people have fun in fandom and stuff like that. People can focus on whatever they want. But the people that, like, unironically hate Kris and are like, I can't wait to get my vessel, I'm gonna beat up Kris, blah 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 blah, and they're like completely unironic about that. Fucking weirdos. What is wrong with you? Why are you beefing with a fictional depressed teenager? Like, grow up. Like, legitimately, I kind of worry about people that are in this camp. Something's wrong there. Why are you angry at this child who isn't real? Like, people getting mad about ships, whatever, that's existed for no reason. People getting mad at the protagonist who is a depressed child. Something's wrong with you. Like, please get over yourself. Please grow up. Oh, turned to everything. Oh no, I'm sorry. Oh, that sounds really difficult to do all in the free trial. Oh, good grief. I think I would go mad. I would go crazy. Oh yeah, because 14 was originally like a totally different game, and then it got kind of completely redone. Wow, the character is a bit evil. Well, the character may be doing bad things for their own reasons. Oh no. I'm gonna throw a fit about this. Yeah, I've seen some of the raids from Dawn Trail, and those look fun. Mostly because I think there were some Final Fantasy IX references in there, and I do love me a Final Fantasy IX. 9 is good. The nuance understanders. Yeah, of course, well, Kris is doing questionable things, but one, that's really interesting. I'm curious as to why they're doing it, and two, like, I don't know, it kind of seems clear to me that they're clearly conflicted about this, and, like, struggling between, being caught between two different wants and needs. That's cool and interesting. Why are you beefing with them? Let's find out what happens. A lot of 9 references. Yeah, I've seen a little bit of that. Again, real life friends have been like, hey, check out this raid with this music, and I'm like, oh hell yeah, that's cool. I love 9. So yeah, there's some like a WWE style fight or something like that. I hope we get a remake of 9 at some point. If there's a remake of 9, I'll probably play that on stream. I played 9 a long time ago, and I wouldn't mind replaying it, because 9 was fun. Probably the one I've replayed the most is 10, because that was the first Final Fantasy I finished. But I still need to play 8 and 7 sometimes, because I've never played those. Or 6, for that matter. A lot of them I haven't played. But I wouldn't mind redoing 9, because 9 was fun. Yeah, they like, kind of suggested it. I don't know if anything's come of it. I hope something comes of it. 14 was your first Final Fantasy game? Oh my goodness. Technically, 9 was kind of my first in that I played a little bit of it when I was visiting a friend. Actually, a Canadian friend. That was my first time up to Canada. But I didn't finish it. We didn't get very far. The first one I actually like played through and finished completely was 10. And then I've also finished 9 and done 12 and 13, and I've played some offshoots. Like I played Crisis Core, but I didn't finish it because I got stuck on like the last dungeon, and I knew that Zach was gonna die anyway, so I'm like, I give up. I've played the rhythm games. I really like rhythm, the Final Fantasy rhythm games, and Dissidia. I played Dissidia, but I need to play like at least 6, 7, and 8. And that would also be cool to go through the classics. I'm a little wary about 2, but like 3 and 5 sound fun as well. Or no, 4. I should definitely do 4. Yeah, 1 through 4. Other FF games? Which ones have... So, you've only played 14? Well, again, I've enjoyed all the ones I played. 10 is really fun. 9 is really fun. I really liked 9. I've heard very good things about 6, 7, and 8. Yeah, and some weird twist. I played through the rhythm games for Final Fantasy, but not the Kingdom Hearts one. Which tells you how hard and how badly I fell off the Kingdom Hearts wagon after 3. Like, it's pretty bad, because I love rhythm games. I love like the, tap style rhythm games. And I love Kingdom Hearts music. This should have been a match made in heaven. I just never got to it, because I was like, I don't care. Like, that's how bad I fell off Kingdom Hearts. I feel so bad about it. Yeah, it's pretty awful. It like, if that had come out, like, any time before 3, that would have been absolutely up my alley, and I would have played the hell out of it. Because, yeah, I love Kingdom Hearts, and I love rhythm games. I love Kingdom Hearts music. Never did the Kingdom Hearts rhythm game. I've heard that 2 can be really difficult just because, like, the mechanics of, like, how you level up are kind of weird. Oh, that's so funny. I have been watching through, like, Andrew Blewett's videos on, like, all the Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy retrospectives. Like, those have been really good background listening, just because he does really nice, like, historical, thorough, deep dives into each game. Talks about, again, the different versions of them, how they've changed a lot of the production background. 2 is just not that fun. Yeah, that sucks. I have heard pretty good things about 4, so probably a pixel remaster of 4 would be good. But yeah, so somehow a lot of the Final Fantasy games I've played have been offshoots. I'm a little sad I never finished Crisis Core, because it was pretty interesting, but I just didn't finish it. I got stuck, and went, goodbye, Zach. Heck, if I'm going to play 7, I kind of want to play also the remake of 7. Because I think it's interesting they're doing different things for it. But yeah, if the theory holds true that, like, the first Final Fantasy you play is your favorite, then I'm like, yeah, that kind of explains why I like 10 a lot. Because 10 was the first one I finished, and I really enjoyed 10. Even if the quests to get ultimate weapons in 10 are bullcrap. I did that stupid ass chocobo race so many times. I never beat it. Okay, here's the weird thing. I managed to do the lightning. I did the 200 dodges. I think my eyes nearly popped out of my brain because I didn't blink for like 2 hours. But I did it. I got Lulu's ultimate weapon because I did the stupid lightning strikes. But I could not do the chocobo race. But I think the lightning strikes, that's the one that everybody really hates. Because, good grief, that's hard. Like, I'm trying to remember whose ultimate weapons I got. I know I got Lulu's because I know I did those stupid lightning strikes. I think I got Auron's because his isn't that hard to get, comparatively. I might have tried for Riku's and didn't quite get it. Might have also gotten Kimari's. I don't remember. No, actually, no, I don't think I got Kimari's because I couldn't figure out the butterfly game well enough. So you gotta do the butterfly game for Kimari. Oh, cute. I'm pretty sure, like, isn't Timmy's character a Mikote? The cat people? Yeah, that's right. Okay, I guessed correctly. Yeah, I've got friends who play a wide variety. I've got quite a few people who play Elizins. Yeah, there's humanoid cat people and then actual cat people. We'll do both. I'm pretty sure if I have friends who've done both, but yeah, the Mikotes, the human cat people. Cat ear people. I'm not sure what I would... If I did play 14, which again, I can't do it. I can't start it up because I would never do anything else ever again. I'm not sure what I would pick for my species. Durgon. Are there dragon people? Well, that's what I would pick. Welcome back home. Oh my goodness. Dragon-like, not actual dragon race. Yeah, I want actual dragon. Here is just like humans, right? So I know there are human characters, but they call them like something else. In Final Fantasy 12, they call them like, well, highlight, your message is highlighted. In Final Fantasy 12, they call them like, good grief, what was it? I think they just call them Humes. Which I always found a little funny. They're like, they're humans, but we're not going to call them that. Yeah, and 12 humans are just called Humes. Male aura. Nah, oh boy. I always find it a little weird, especially when, like, there's serious sexual dimorphism between, like, species that are based on reptiles, because in my experience there is very, very little sexual dimorphism between reptiles. Male and female species in reptiles look pretty dang similar. That's what they're called in the first. Okay. Maybe that's where they got it from. Because, yeah, they're called Humes in 12. They do sell games. Well, actually, I'm not even sure if they do that much anymore, but somebody thinks they do. Hume is also in 11. Okay. There's very generic fire going on here. Oh, yeah. I always liked the way that the Moogles looked in 12. 12 had pretty good Moogles. Isn't there a lizard species where it's only females? I believe that's a salamander species, so not quite reptile, but pretty close. But yes, there is a salamander species where, just due to environmental circumstances, they are all female and they just reproduce through, like, asexual reproduction. And hello, thank you for coming. Which is useful in that, you know, you don't need a male to do it, but that is a little bit genetically dangerous because the point of, you know, sexual dimorphism and having, you know, male and female genders is like you can mix and max your genes more. It's a little bit safer, whereas if you're only copying the same genes over and over again, that's susceptible to, like, disease. Lizards are my favorite family of bird. I agree. Yeah, min-maxing the genes. If you're min-maxing the genes, that might be good, but it could be trouble because there's the min in there. So, on the one hand, cool to have a single-sex salamander still going. On the other hand, I hope no diseases hit them because otherwise they're in trouble. All right, city on fire. Wow, we got a whole one page done already. Woohoo! We're probably gonna be on this part for a while. Did I enjoy school? Yeah, for the most part. I think I was well suited for school. Teachers liked me. I didn't speak up very much. I wasn't very chatty in school. But, like, as long as, you know, a teacher left me alone and let me draw on my notes during school, I was happy. I was a perfectly decent student. I know school is not great for every kid. Some kids really struggle. With me personally, no, I like school because I'm already a person who's like, please just leave me alone to work. So this works out well in a school environment. For the most part, you are left alone to work. Again, the parts where I struggled were the parts where I had to participate in class. I didn't like speaking up. Some whiptail lizards are all female, but still mime sex induce reproduction. Lesbian lizards, the best kind of lizards. Life finds a way, as Ian Malcolm says. So yeah, I hope you enjoy school. If you don't enjoy it, it'll be done soon. Don't worry. But while you are in school, please, I'm begging this to you as an old person and as a person who has two parents for teachers, basically both my parents are teachers, and I hear their teaching stories, and I'm hearing things about high schoolers nowadays, and I'm like, please do your reading, do your actual work. Please do not outsource this to ChatGTP or a summary or whatever. It is extremely important right now that you be able to do your own reading and form your own opinions about this kind of thing. Because if you do not, people are going to take advantage of you in the future. Like, I was hearing a parent teaches high school complain, like, kids aren't even reading Animal Farm, which is like what she's teaching right now. And I'm like, Animal Farm is not a long book. Animal Farm is in fact quite short and not dense. It's easy to get through. What do you mean they're not even finishing Animal Farm? Y'all gotta be able to do this. I'm sorry, it's actually quite important. Like, no, like, you're not gonna remember all this stuff in the future, but it's not about remembering all these little details. It's about the fact that you need to be able to read something and, like, interpret it and decipher it and make decisions about it. Because otherwise, somebody's going to do that for you. Yeah, it's about developing critical thinking and attention span. And also be good in school because you might learn about lesbian lizards. Even better. Yeah, the grades ultimately do not matter. They're really not important. I know they'd really like to make it sound like they're important. They are not that important in the long run. What is important is, again, you being able to read through something, keeping your attention span, thinking critically, seeing things in context, being able to form and argue an idea. That's all extremely useful and, in fact, all the more important nowadays. So if you don't remember certain facts about what you read, fine. Nobody's going to remember that. I don't remember most of what I read. But what's important is, again, that you actually, it's just like weight training for your brain. If you do not do it, somebody else is going to take advantage of you in your adult life. And that is happening shockingly, like, scarily more nowadays. So if you are somebody who is in school and, you know, you're a little frustrated, it's, you know, you're overworked, which I absolutely get it, you are overworked, and, you know, you don't really want to do this reading and whatever, you don't think you're going to need it, please take my advice. The grade is not important. What is important is that you train your brain and that you do read and you do think about what you're reading and you learn how to finish things and come to your own conclusions and make your own thoughts, because I guarantee you, if you do not do this, people will take your money and they'll take your time and they will tell you how to think or how to vote or all this other stuff in the future, and you won't even be able to, like, realize that's happening. You are basically training your brain for self-defense by doing this, especially when you're young and have the time to do it. Reading is fun, and even when it's not fun, it's still important. A Raisin in the Sun? Oh, 16? Oh, it's not even it's 18 where I am. Honestly, I don't mind it being that low because, like, that kind of stuff can affect 16-year-olds. And unfortunately, as we've seen, being older does not necessarily give you more wisdom in that regard. So I wouldn't mind it being 16, honestly. 16-year-olds are certainly affected by things that go on in the world. Oh yeah, clownfish and seahorses. True. There are quite a few animals in nature that will change their sex or change all this other stuff in order to made that too big. Get by in their environment. And if there's anything we are to learn from nature, it's that nature doesn't really care about following rules. Nature is like, if it works, it works, and I'm gonna do it. You can't stop me. Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. I don't think that it works for age brackets. That whole like, oh, your brain's not fully developed until 25. That's like, that's done damage. That's irreparable BS or something. There's no. I'm sorry. We can't keep delaying adulthood. Yeah. It's not true. I think like the actual science is like your brains never stop developing. Our brains are always very plasticky. And it's actually good for us if we recognize that fact and learn to take in new information. That's another reason why it's good to study in school, because you should never stop doing that. You should always be open to learning new things, because if you are open to learning new things at any point in your life, you will be better equipped to handle the world and the people in it, because people change all the time too. Yeah, the study stopped measuring at 25. So I'm pretty sure your brain never stops developing, because we are always learning new things. At least ideally we should always be learning new things. It's good for you. So certainly I think about that kind of stuff just as like, as somebody who had a family member who developed Alzheimer's. That's scary. That's my one fear shirt. So good to stave that off as well. And a way to stave that off is to keep using your brain. It's its own kind of muscle. Yeah. Line. Yeah. Okay, close enough. One of those things where I wish this program had bevel curves. Also, it's almost time for my break again. Anyways, take care of your brain, take care of your body. Yeah, so sorry to go off on the tangent about kids stay in school. You know, I'm 40 years old. Stay in school. But, like, it really is a thing where, like, oh, you don't know this until you get older, and then you're like, oh, that's why adults were telling me that. Okay. Now it's my job to tell you that, too. Stay in school. That said, I do understand why kids are frustrated. Why kids turn to, like, you know, cheating and stupid chatbots and stuff like that. Because I think there is definitely this pressure to be like, you have to perform this, and the result is more important than, like, the process. And that is just not true. So if people are telling you the only thing that matters is the result, they're lying to you. Sorry. The process is the more important part. See if you have anything. It's possible. I'm probably on the spectrum in some form. I haven't gotten tested for it, but just based on how I've talked to other people and how they go through the world versus how I go through the world, it's like, okay, there's something different going on there. Kids, don't do school stay. Thanks, Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln didn't say that. I mean, my mom, like, suspected that I was on the spectrum, like, even when I was a toddler. Because, like, when I was a little kid, like, she would give me a Mr. Potato Head, and I would just, like, play it with it for, like, 5 hours straight. Like, just put it together and take it apart and put it back together again, like, over and over. Apparently, most kids don't do that. That's not normal. Also, hello. Thank you for coming. I know it's probably late where you are. Exactly. If you don't read books, how can you write better fan fiction? Study hard, keep your body in good shape so that you too can draw and write weird ass things. Exactly. That's why it's important. Where would we be without weird ass fan fiction? Nowhere good. Yeah. Here's the power of this. Whatever. Another one of the good things about this program, very easy to copy a... Oh, and also I gotta take my break, I just realized. It's a little bit over. Okay. Organic AI breeding. That is the better version of it, though, at least. Nope, you gotta read more than 8 books. 8 books is a good start. But the more it's the same thing as like art of any kind. The more variety you get in your literary diet, in your art diet, the better it is for you. You need a wide variety of different books. Books that are enjoyable, books that are not that enjoyable, books you understand, books that you don't really understand. High level, low level, all kinds. Yeah, sometimes you can do it with like, a short story or a novella. Anthology kind of stuff. I've always really liked anthologies. Oh, nice. Again, I find it really hard to find time to read because I'm always burdening myself with 10 million projects. But audiobooks from the library have been a godsend. Because then I can just listen to a book while I'm doing my chores. And I know it's not quite the same as like actually reading words on a page. But at the very least, it is helping me get some more literature into my diet that I otherwise would be missing out on. I'm reading through an interesting book right now about a girl hockey team in the 80s who turned to witchcraft to win hockey games. Ooh, Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I know what? That's another one. I should read actual Lord of the Rings. I think I started it. I started Fellowship of the Ring and I didn't finish it. I should actually read it because goodness knows the movies are beautiful and wonderful. But the books, also good. Exactly. Yes, I have a library card. I guess it depends on what you're doing. Again, I listen to my library books while I'm doing chores around the house. Like if I'm cleaning or doing the dishes or cleaning out the Cricut pens or doing laundry, all that stuff, then like a audiobook from the library is just lovely because like chores don't require a lot of my brain. My brain is gonna like wander off anyway. So having a book to listen to is nice to focus on that while I'm doing like, a mundane chore. About the doodle request thing on Twitch, it means you can turn in points and tell them, and I will do a little doodle request for you. Here's the page for them. I'll bring that up real quick. Oh, hello. Here are some of the doodle requests. They're really fast. They're like a minute or two for me to do. I'm just putting them all on this page, and then when the page is full, it'll come out. A library card. So as you can see, we have a wide variety of guys here on our second doodle page. The first doodle page we filled. So yes, that's what the doodle request for Twitch is. You just gotta have, I think it's like 2,500 points for it. We have a very interesting wide variety on this page. All kinds of weird things. Noelle's still trying to get that Slurpee. She wants that Slurpee. She's gonna get it. One way or another. Ugh. But yeah, Lord of the Rings is a pretty big honking book. Alright, I will be right back for one more stretch and orange juice and stuff. Alright, I'm finally back. Well, I should try and read Little Women. Oh no, you got sticky keys. I saw the recent Little Women movie. I saw that with my parents when that came out a year or two ago. And I was briefly sad, or briefly excited, because it seems like it, Jo, they might make her asexual. Like, at least when I was watching, I was getting a really asexual read from it, and I was like, well, will we have some representation? Is Jo asexual? No, she eventually gets a guy, and I was like, oh, okay. But very briefly, it seemed like it could happen. So maybe it's more in the actual book. Does she look like a mouse? It's supposed to be a fox snout. I probably should make that more foxy then. More foxy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find, once I finish this one, I'm gonna have to find some new books to read. The last one I finished, basically I was trying to find Project Hail Mary, because everybody was like, oh, this is really good, the movie's really good, and you should read the book. So I'm like, okay, I'll try and find the audiobook. And that it wasn't available in my library selection, so I was like, oh no. And then while looking for it, they're like, try these books instead. And there was, I guess they're going to make this into a movie, a book about a guy who gets swallowed by a whale and has to get out. Kind of like 127 hours, except instead of he's stuck under a rock in a canyon, he's stuck in a whale. So I read that, or listened to it, and it was interesting, although obviously this was fiction, whereas 127 hours was like based on a true story. Yeah, I was also looking for The Martian. They didn't have The Martian. They didn't have The Martian or Project Hail Mary. I'm kind of surprised that my library doesn't have that. Oh, a draw request happened? Shoot. Well, dang it. Let me scroll back up. Scroll. Where did it go? Draw request, let's see. Both 8-year-old Susie and Lancer doing mid-air high five vibrators. Okay, so like a younger Susie and, Lancer doing a high five. Okay. Sorry, I missed that while I was out. Okay. Yes, we all know the Jonah story. No, the whole premise of the book was like, this is, how we would do it in real life, kind of thing. This is how you would scientifically accurately get swallowed by a whale in real life, and the circumstances needed for that are in fact pretty hard to come by. The whales don't eat people. They don't like it. So like even the book, like the whale swallows him like by accident, not on purpose. Yeah, again, this was pretty much like, okay, what are the circumstances under which this would happen? And it was pretty much like, one, you can't do this with like a baleen whale because their throats are too small to swallow people. So like even if you somehow got in its mouth, you couldn't even go down its throat because baleen whales, again, like they can't do it, physically can't do it. So this had to be a sperm whale, and even then it was like a really big sperm whale and a really skinny guy who was like 19, and then like basically it's because the guy got tangled up with a giant squid, which is what the whale was actually eating. Like the whale was trying to eat the squid and he got pulled in by accident. And that's pretty much like the only way that could possibly happen, because like, yeah, a whale does not want to eat a person. They're like, that is not whale food. I don't know what kind of clothes 8-year-old Susie would have, but I've got to give her the ponytail at least. Yeah, again, the circumstance under which this would have to happen is pretty outlandish. Ponytail Susie. My infant son was extreme death. Yeah, that's another thing. The whale had to be like at a much higher than normal. The squid had to be like way closer to the surface than normal because like humans cannot really survive at like pressures greater than 100 feet. And that's kind of a plot point, is if the whale tries to dive, then like he's gonna die from like pressure changes because like, you know, that's a whole deal. So it's like, what are the circumstances under which this could feasibly happen? Kind of outlandish, which is why it's fiction. Also, very, very much like of the whole, like, you know, this is happening because the whale represents your father, whom you had a bad relationship with growing up, and etc., etc. It's like it was a fun book, but this book was very much like, could also be titled, Guys Will Literally Get Eaten by a Whale Instead of Go to Therapy. One of the many adventures Huckleberry Finn had. I don't think that's true. I can't remember how to draw Lancer all of a sudden. How do I draw Lancer? Well, this is probably correct, right? Good grief, how do I forget to draw Lancer? One of the untold tales of Huckleberry Finn. How did he get out of that? He is round. He is a round boy. He bounces. Yay! That's just every story. It was particularly obvious in this story where I'm like, okay, this is just the premise. Oh, a hair bow. Okay, let's give her a hair bow. Even though she doesn't like ribbons, she doesn't want to wear those. Here, she's wearing the ribbon around like, oh, hold on. I think she's wearing the ribbon around like her ponytail. Okay, there she's got a ribbon. I don't know if glitter would show up. Boop, 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 boop. Well, it kind of looks like her hair has freckles. I think we have to forego the glitter for now. Especially on something this small. But there you go. Thank you for the request. She did at least wear a ribbon a while ago, true. Hair freckles. The glitter is just hair freckles. She did wear ribbons, but she does not wear them anymore. She does not like them. Maybe she would. She'd do it for Lancer. Maybe. But I think Lancer would rather have like the matching track jackets, and she would too, so. Still loving chapter 3. Why'd you make me wear that? Ralph turns around. Make you? And I wonder if I can do... Are there symmetry tools in this? There probably are, but I can't remember where they are right now. Ralph wouldn't make her do something if she didn't want to do it. He would, if she did do it, she would compliment. Then he would compliment her and be like, "Oh, Susie, you look so cute. I think you should do that." But like, he's not going to make her do it. He don't swing that way. But the armies have helped deep to shade. Freckles are fun. I like freckles. Susie will tear the sleeves off. Should do it with the spikes. The clothes are tearing each other to shreds. Hell yeah. No, I think he's looking at the player on purpose in that. There is literally no reason for him to like glance behind him in our direction if he's not looking at the player. Like if he was thinking about that, he would be looking at Susie. But he's like, somebody made Susie do that. He immediately turns and looks in our direction. There is technically nothing behind him but wall, supposedly. He has no reason to look back at us unless he knows we're there. So, he knows we're there. Oh yeah, she could pull off a Bowser cosplay. He knows we're here. Kris is like, I beat you to the track jackets. To be fair, that is a badass track jacket. The roaring reindeers. Yeah, exactly. That's why he's looking at us, because he thought, holy crap, wait, did the player get control of Susie? No, you guys are playing a video game. Just like we're playing a videos game. Like he forced the lizard into the pit to jump high, failing to tell me he did this in a videos game. There's always something inherently funny about mispronouncing video game. Yeah, I almost did it myself. Oh boy, okay. Yeah, some of this stuff I'm going to do a little later. I'll do this with like smart objects. I probably should do the book. I probably shouldn't for the bookcase. I should probably do the bookcase in 3D. I don't know. I think Alvin is just out of touch. Out of touch Alvin. Or else I wasn't very chuffed by that dart. It's funny. Ugh, I probably should get a professional email. But also, I haven't looked at LinkedIn for like, I don't know how many years. The only reason I ever look at it is like, somebody on LinkedIn sends me like a happy birthday message on my birthday, and that's the only time they talk to me. And I'm like, why are you on LinkedIn? But okay. Hello, thank you for coming. Those costumes are fun, although I don't think they had to make fun of the regular costumes in order for those to be neat. I'm like, yellow spandex? It's like, you don't gotta make fun of your own genre, dude. A British boy. I do like how people kind of give Ralsei a British accent, even though he has no reason to be British. It's because he's so proper. Yeah, I get some birthday wishes on Facebook, but I don't really use Facebook anymore because, good grief, it's obnoxious to use. But whatever. I don't mind. The Edgeworth effect. What's on that? That's a different kind of British accent. That Aussie accent. A shrimp on the Barbie. I'm probably no good with accents. I should shut my mouth. Not much of a voice actor. Definitely can't do an accent good. Yeah, that's why I signed up for it. Because, like, good grief. I think it was back in, like, 2008. This was, like, back in the day, all of our classes were like, you better sign up for LinkedIn. Because a lot of people are using it. It'll be useful. And, still there, but I don't know how useful it is. I've never really used it to find a job. Further up the skill tree. Yeah, that's another problem I have. I have the same problem where if I try and talk in like one accent, it'll just become another accent that's like completely unrelated, and I'm like, I don't know how this happened. Just maybe don't have me do accents, please. Spare yourself. Alternative take. Alright, sorry, I might have to miss that. I might have to share it with me later. I do definitely think that Kris, or not Kris, well, obviously Kris does. I think Ralsei knows the player is there for more reasons than just that. Hi ho, Kermie here. That might be it. I kind of feel like a lot of people, for a lot of people, California accent is like quote unquote default because that's what's like all over most media you hear. So people just kind of assume that's the way it is. Even though I'm certain that California has an accent. Just like everywhere does. It's just how it goes. They have Rouse in the Light World being the 7th unfinished chapter of Lord of the Hammer books. Huh, I haven't heard that. Interesting. I'd have to think on it more. I'm still kind of the idea that he's the Red Horn Headband if he has to be an object. But it could be a different object. It could be a concept, although the way that Rouse was talking about himself, it sounds like he is an object. My main thought is that whatever Rouse is, like whether an object or something, I think he at the very least has a piece of Kris's soul in him. Not the whole thing, but like a portion of it. I think that I was going to make a video on this, and then I just didn't have time, and I'm still caught up with work and stuff now, so I don't know when I have time for it. But my original theory was that, Rouse has Kris's original soul, and now with the new information we have, I think I would upgrade that a little bit to be like, Kris's soul has been split into 3 parts. One of them is with Rouse, one of them is with Des/the Knight, and one of them is still with Kris. And this is why Kris can do things they do and why the Knight and Rouse act as they do. Pronounced Yeah, that's my current going. Kind of an expansion upon the original, Rouse has Kris's soul thing, I think. I'm going to cough from that orange juice. Ooh, excuse me. That Kris's soul might be in pieces, and a piece of it is with Rouse, but not the whole. Hoping to help Kris against us? Yeah, I think definitely we are an important part of that. I definitely think there is something going on where Rouse has some connection to Kris in some way, which is again why I think, okay, maybe a piece of Kris's soul is in him. But at the same time, he is his own person and only becoming more his own person, and that's interesting. Like, he is not just a Kris clone. Same way the Knight is not just a Kris clone. Roxas, I know. Okay, thank you. Thank you. But it really does feel like there's something going on with the fact that Rouse looks kind of like what if Asriel was more Kris's age and look. Interpretation where the conflict between Kris and the soul is a metaphor for... I have seen that. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I don't like the idea that, like, this is just like Kris is like, our dark desires, like everything that Kris does. I don't like the Kris association theory, basically. I don't like the idea that, like, we have no part in this and this is all Kris's inner thoughts. My festival vacation is over. No! Yeah, I don't really like the interpretation that, like, that we have no part in this and this is all, it's all metaphor. But, I don't know, there was something in that, like, I can't remember the difference between, like, DID and OCD, but I don't think it's a DID thing where, like, these things that happen in the weird root happen because, Kris has these dark desires that they can act on. I don't think it works like that. I think Kris is certainly aware that we are there and did this on purpose. Uram is Latin for I was. Interesting. Yeah, but basically, I think no matter what, Kris knows that we are there, knows that we are separate from them, and planned for this from the beginning. They are metagames, not in the sense that like the characters are like, oh my goodness, I'm in a videos game kind of thing. Like, the way I've interpreted it is like, when Kris does the sword route, I don't think the conclusion they come away with is like, oh my goodness, my world is a video game. I think the conclusion they came away with after the sword route is, oh, the thing controlling me is playing a video game. Whereas before, I don't think that they knew much about how it worked. They know that, like, okay, this thing cannot hear what I say. They can't always, you know, I can hide things from them. Gotta babysit this stupid soul with incredible power, And it's trying to speedrun. Extremely annoying. Alright, that I will do later. Ooh. Again, these backgrounds are going to take me a while. Like, I think the bloodstain on Chris's room was literally them practicing for, like, okay, I know I'm going to get this soul thing. And I want to be able to take it out whenever I want. So I'm going to practice doing that. There's definitely something weird going on with, like, Kris removing the soul whenever they want. I don't think that's metaphorical. That should not physically be possible, and yet it's happening. Because we can react to physical things in the world, as proven in the latest chapters. So this is not a metaphorical thing. Kris is really removing their soul. Or at least removing that soul. And yet they can still, you know, get by and, you know, take Birdley to the hospital and go see Noelle if they want to, or go get some pie, or go play the piano a bunch. Like, they can do quite a bit without us, which is kind of why I think, again, there was a portion of their soul still with them. Especially for, like, making a dark world. Like, we're not in their body when they do that. So they're doing that with their own will. So to me, like, okay, they've got a portion of their soul still with them. They've got some of their own will still remaining. But it's not enough for them to, like, survive the dark world on their own. It's a metaphor. Okay, go get yourself some lunch. I don't know. I'm not a fan of Kris Association. I don't think, like, possession is perhaps the correct word, because I think Kris has more control over the situation than we first thought. We are puppeting their body around, but not necessarily with the degrees of control we think we have. It does tackle more mature topics, but I wouldn't say this is a game for adults. I think this is still intended for younger audiences. There are some more mature topics, but I would not say this is an adult game. And again, I do not like the idea that, especially with the weird route, like, oh, this is all Kris's, like, inner thoughts that they've been trying to, you know, stave off or whatever. I'm not fond of that. I don't think that's how it works. And again, as we saw in Chapter 4, we can run around independent of Kris, doing all kinds of various silly things, while they're off playing the piano. I don't think that's a metaphor. I don't think that Susie and Noelle have a little metaphor under the angel doll in that part. That's really there. And if we are, you know, being separate from Kris in that sense, then we are not Kris. We're not their inner thoughts. Yeah, I really do not think Kris would want to do what they're doing to Noelle. I think that they absolutely are. They do not like it. You have 2 different wings of the angel doll. Heck, I think we're going to get more moments in Chapter 5 where we can work independently from Kris. Kris is going to take us out and we're off to our own shenanigans. Yeah, I just can't see a scenario where, like, Kris is doing weird root stuff because, like, oh, there's a part of me that's, like, basically, I don't take ERAM as, like, the gospel truth. Like, there was a video out recently by Stuffed Alpaca that was really good. That was basically like, okay, intrusive thoughts are not the same thing as, you know, dark desires. Exactly. Like speaking of, like, you know, like, the example of, like, an intrusive thought I thought of was, like, you know, so there was this cliffside close to where my parents lived, and you could climb up to it and, like, look out over the ocean. And sometimes, like, standing up on that cliff, I would just get, like, this sense of, like, oh, I wish I could jump off this cliff. But at the same time, no, I do not wish I could jump off this cliff. I do, like, it wasn't even a suicidal thought. It was just, like, I wish I could just, like, you know, have this sense of freedom and weightlessness and, you know, soar out over the ocean. I didn't even want to, like, end my life or anything. It was just, like, an intrusive thought of, like, oh, I wish I could, like, have this physical experience. But I'm never, ever, 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 ever going to do that. Because I do not want to go splat off of a cliff. So just because you have, like, yeah, just because you have a thought in your idea of, like, oh, I wish I could do this, does not mean you want to do it. Does that make sense? It doesn't even mean you would do it if given the chance. Yeah, heck, even ERAM's line about, like, oh, you know, it was nice, like, saying that you weren't the one doing it. Okay, if they're not the one doing it, that means it is the player doing it. Is that why I wrote the skybox? I wrote the skybox because I really, really enjoy drawing, like, flying creatures. So in a sense, kind of, yeah. Like, I always just really enjoyed drawing creatures in flight. The previous webcomic I did, which was about werewolves, I had a moment where, like, the character was, like, on the back of a big flying creature. And I was like, I really like drawing this part. Why don't I just do this all the time? This is the part I have fun with. So I just did that for my next comic. I like drawing flying creatures? Who would have guessed? What a shocking development. Sometimes you come up with a story because you're like, I like doing this. I'm just going to do this all the time. And it works out pretty well. The moral of the comic is flying is sick as fuck. It is sick as fuck. Exactly. Sometimes your best work comes from just, like, this thing I like is really cool. I'm going to world build around it. And you know what? Totally fair. I say that's a legit reason to do anything. We're going to draw all these stupid swords so many times. So I think there could be a thing of, like, you know, Kris has had violent thoughts or intrusive thoughts. I don't think that, like, they would act on those if given the chance. I just don't think they would. Having an intrusive thought is not the same thing as desiring something. Get ready for books, as we were talking about books all the time. It's book time. So yeah, this will be better if I actually draw it out as opposed to just doing the flat one here. I dream about swords and books. Again, I had some weird dreams last night. They weren't very pleasant, though. Ugh. The problem is like, if the soul is acting on Kris's intrusive thoughts, you can't get to those easily. You have to go through so many steps in order to, like, initiate the weird route, and it is really easy to abort. It gives you, like, opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, especially even in chapter 4, after Birdley has already been, like, hospitalized. Ugh. Also, I think I might have to do my stretches here soon. Like, it is giving you tons of opportunities to be like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. That doesn't read to me as like, oh, I'm taking advantage of Kris's, like, intrusive thoughts. That reads to me as like, you have so many you are not supposed to be doing this. Like, back out of it. We've warned you over and over and over again. This is not easy to access. It is not easy to keep doing. You have to pursue it so many times. It also just, like, I guess the whole crystallization thing does not make sense to me. For the sole purpose of, like, in the weird route, when Noelle asks who is going to hear, and the answer is me, and that's when, like, all of a sudden the palette changes and things get all spooky and scary. Why would that be the reaction if Kris is just talking about themselves and not us, the player? Like, why would that be scary? Yeah, who is providing the prompts? Some of them Kris is, like, really confused as to, like, wait, why would that be an option? Yeah, please don't. That is a weird thing to say to say in that situation if you're not talking about literally someone else. I think Kris definitely knows we're there. And also, it is definitely time for me to take a stretch break before we get into books. So many books. We're still on page 2 out of 11. We're gonna be on this part for a while. I'm sorry, guys. It's gonna happen. Not bugs, books. Books. At least we're nearing the end of, like, not necessarily nearing the end of backgrounds, but again, like, books about bugs, true. We're nearing the end of backgrounds. Like, after this is part 14, which shouldn't have super complicated backgrounds, and then parts 15 through 20 are all in the same location, so I'm going to try and reuse as many of those as I can. Although, unfortunately, 15 through 20 is probably too spoilery to show any character work from, so I'm only going to be doing backgrounds on stream for the last 5 or 6 parts or so. Because otherwise, too spoilers. But there's still plenty of other stuff to tackle in, like, the other parts, so we should be okay. Books about bugs and bugs about books, aka bookworms. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Again, like, especially, like, the last few parts, I don't think you'll... the stuff that happens on screen, even without dialogue, I don't think I think that would be too spoilery. Like, especially the last two. Actually, probably like the last 3 or so. Way too spoilery. Too much. Sorry. But again, we have plenty of other stuff to work. We can work on stream aside from that, because I'm not even at those parts yet. The furthest I've gotten is layouts and text for part 14, which still feels kind of wild. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm in the double digits, and it'll be done when it's done, which who knows when that will be. I hope before chapter 6. Like, I kind of hope we have a decent sized gap between chapters 5 and 6, just to give myself time to finish this. Oh, I hope it'd be nice if it's better than Duke Nukem Forever, which I've never played one of those games. Ooh. Sword root music. I really like the sword root music. Okay, be right back for one more stretch. I return for more books in the background. Oh, there is music. Can you not hear the music? There's a sword root playing. I usually have the music quiet so I don't get like copy struck. It's hard to find that balance between like loud enough for y'all to hear and not loud enough for YouTube to hear. There is music going, it's just very quiet. I can bump it up a little bit, if possible. Yeah, it's pretty quiet. Because I don't like YouTube being like, you can't do that. Yeah, I was doing a nice orchestral rendition of Sword. The Sword. The Sword and the Stone. Yeah, I'm a little sad I haven't been able to find the time to do another theory video. Or stuff like that. Because I do want to blab about how I think Kris's soul is kind of in 3 places at once. I've seen kind of like various takes on it. Like I've seen you know, oh, Kris's soul is in Death/the Night. And I'm kind of like, yes, but I think it's other places too. Not just that, for a few reasons. And I've just been too busy with work and also Eldertrune to sit down and do it. No, this is from the ending, and this is not the This is not the library. This is somewhere else. It still happens to have a lot of books. But this is from Eldertrune's ending again. So if I had infinite time, I'd make that theory video again. But also, just the other day, I was thinking, man, if I had time, you know what I'd like to make a video about? I want to do, like, a deep dive into Sequest DSV. Which, like, I've never seen anybody talk about. In terms of, like, shows from the 90s. Like, why does nobody talk about Sequest? One of my childhood shows. I think I have the first season on DVD, so if I had way too much time on my hands, I would do a Sequest deep dive. Get it? Sequest deep dive. But I ain't got time for jack squat. Oh, nope, this is a different place. I do gotta do another scene with Asriel, though. I gotta write that. But at the first, I was like, I'm gonna do the scene where they meet Caddy and Jockington first. That should be a shorter scene, right? Uh-oh, no, it's not. It's 3.5 pages of script. Uh-oh. I have to split this into 2 parts again, too. So much for that. Every time, I keep thinking, this part will be shorter than the last one, and every time, I prove myself wrong. I'm like Peanuts and Charlie Brown with a football. Only I'm the one holding the football, and I get myself every time. It is how it goes with creative projects, true. But hey, on this one, I managed to throw in a Gaster reference. I wasn't even planning on that at first. When I got to the part where I was writing, I was like, wait a minute. I think I need to put Gaster in here. Okay, well, let's go for it. So look out for that. The rare Gaster reference. Yet the How to Draw Dragons Decium is single draw. What purpose does the book serve other than making Asriel? Oh, come on. I don't think it has anything to do with Susie's mother. I think it's just, I think, for one thing, I think Asriel was the one that checked it out because they say so. He's the picture of the dragon under Dessa's bed is probably from Asriel because he was trying to learn how to draw dragons. And he just never returned the book, and Kris is not going to return it either because Kris also likes himself a dragon. He found a place for himself. Exactly. We don't really see or hear him. Again, because I want to stick with an Eldertrune. Gaster is extremely hard to come by. But I was like, okay, this is actually an appropriate place to pull a Gaster mention. Yes, I watched that immediately when it came out. I literally told, like, I was in a work meeting for animation and stuff, and I'm like, you guys, there's a new Folding Ideas video out today. It's about Mr. Beast. You have to go watch it. And they're like, oh, yeah. Like, half the Canadian animation industry runs on video essays, so of course I watched Folding Ideas ones on Mr. Beast, which it was not what I was expecting, but at the same time, like, it was, yeah, a perfect Folding Ideas video, like, exactly how I would imagine that going. We rented a bouncy castle, and I'm in a tuxedo, and I'm the only... This is the only video essay filmed in Alberta in a bouncy castle in a tuxedo. The certifying person, the thumbs up. Also, how extremely awkward it was to have Doug Walker there, considering the wall video, but I'm glad it seems like they're getting along okay. I mean, if I was in Doug's position, like, what can you do? There's no sense being a jerk about it, so you might as well get along. But yeah, another Dan Olsen banger. I'm still waiting for H Bomber Guy to come out. I guess he's working on one for Adobe. I'm excited for it, but at the same time, I'm a little scared it's gonna absolutely destroy me because I still use Photoshop. He's probably gonna do some big reveal where, like, using Photoshop makes me feel like I'm supporting J.K. Rowling or something, and then I'm like, I have to find an alternative. H Bomber Guy destroyed Adobe, and he was right to do so. But yeah, another really good one. I wish that he would do a video on AI nonsense, generative AI nonsense, but I know that that's probably too large and too complex a topic to deal with. Dan was the 1 in 10 dentists. He was. He even said that pretty much in the video. Everybody else was like, oh, Mr. Beast thing. It looks pretty neat and stuff. They're working hard on it. And then Dan just lays in and is like, no, this sucks, actually. I think it's especially pretty telling, like, the whole part about, like, Mr. Beast asking, how do you create fandom? It's like, oh, this is why you are the way you are. You don't know how this works. Oh, no. This really is kind of like the same mindset as, like, those tech bros who, like, recognize that, like, there is some kind of, like, cultural social power in, like, people liking things, but they can't grasp that the power there is people liking things. They don't understand people liking things. The one thing Jimmy labor abuses Beast will never have fandom. That's true. I mean, it is saying something when, like, this has, like, 10 bajillion subscribers and views and whatever, and stupid candy bars and moldy Lunchables and stuff and whatever stuff, and yet there's not a Mr. Beast fandom the way there is a Deltarune fandom. Exactly. There's nothing outside the grift. You can't do it for the grift. People don't have fandoms for grifts. Because all they want is to be part of the grift, too. If you're just in it for the money and not the love of the game, people can tell, and it's like, well, why should I care? Yeah, AI bros have the same personality as NFT bro, because they're often one and the same. Yeah, it's people begging for money. That's not a fandom. That's just part of the grift. I'm almost done with this dang bookcase. I mean, as an artist, you do want people to, like, pay attention to your work. It really does sustain you and that kind of thing. But it's also, like, if you ask an artist, like, if nobody ever saw your work at all, you know, if nobody ever interacted with it, would you still draw? Like, real artists will say yes, because for artists in that position, it's like you have to. It's like breathing. Like, you can't imagine your life outside of doing this thing. You want attention for it. But if somebody asked you to do something else, you would find that extremely hard. That's why I just sobbed my eyes out when I developed my wrist problems, and I was really scared that I wouldn't be able to draw again. It felt like somebody was saying you're going blind. Like, I couldn't imagine my life outside of it. And it's not necessarily like one or the other. Like, oh, if you don't, you know, spend your whole life doing it, then you're not a real artist kind of thing. Like, people can, you know, dip in and out of it as they like. You don't have to be solely dedicated to it. Also seen Dan's review of Beast Game Season 2. Is that separate from the video for it? Because I just watched the Mr. Beast video, why was I invited to Beast Studios one that came out on Friday. If there's a separate video, I don't think I've seen it. Is it on another channel? Like, I have Nebula, and I don't think Dan Olsen is on Nebula. I looked for his channel and I can't find it. Okay, I'll have to see a separate video, because it kind of seemed like he gave a little bit of a review of the Beast games in that video, but I'd be interested in a separate video for it. Oh, he probably mentioned it, and it was linked, and I just gotta go find it again. Alright, the window and the rug I will do separately, because those I can do flat. Okay, I'll have to look at the separate video then. Alright, let me linkity link this, and I'll save it for later. Okay. Is this an unlisted video? That might explain it. Okie dokie. I will maybe look at that over lunch. Yeah, I've been a Dan Olsen fan for a while. Again, I'm an animator artist. we run on video essays. Like that, somebody made some meme of like Velma from Scooby-Doo, like looking on the ground for like, you know, line goes up and Roblox oof. It's like, my video essays, I can't draw without my video essays. I'm like, literally me. Old man yells at cloud. Yeah, but basically from what I was saying earlier, like, you can do art for a number of different reasons. You can do art because, like, it's like breathing and you have to. You can do art just, you know, for a little bit of a lark, you know, not seriously, but just to kind of dip your toes into it. But you can't do art for a grift. It doesn't work. There are some people that want to do art as a grift. It just doesn't work. Seen Arathia's video about Asgore? No, I have not seen that. Again, the most recent Deltarune video I saw was the one about was Stuffed Alpaca's one about Kris, which I thought was very good. Stuffed Alpaca, I think, is generally pretty on the money with their analysis videos. The one about gender is really good too. Yep. No, like, if I'm doing, like, planning stages for art, like, if I'm having to, like, do roughs and stuff like that, or if I'm writing script, I can't have a video going because that's too distracting. I can't have people talking. The most I can do is, like, music. But I can do, like, talking or videos or stuff for, like, this stage of drawing, where I'm just kind of, like, doing the motions of it, not thinking about it too much. Oh, I have to have music while I'm driving, too. When I get a new car, maybe I'll finally have a car with an MP3 player. I still burn CDs because my car is so old that it doesn't do anything but CDs. So, I'm like, if I want to listen to something in my car, I'm going to burn a CD and listen to that for like the next 6 months. There's an NPR show I was listening to for a while, and then I kind of stopped. I'm pretty sure my parents listen to NPR when they're on the road, but also music. Alright, we'll come back to the mirror, or the stained glass for that later. Alright, lurking's fine. What's always fun is when, like, you get into that really strong thinking stage of, like, okay, you're trying to, like, work out a conversation or solve a problem for some art or writing in your head. Or just, like, imagine how you would, like, write something down. And then, like, you can't do anything else but just kind of pace around your house. Just kind of walk in circles like Scrooge McDuck in his little thinking pit. Except that in real life. I don't know how people do that, but sometimes I'll get into, like, yeah, a thinking spree of just, like, kind of turning an idea in my head over and over. And in that sense, yeah, I literally will just walk in circles. BT speaker and cup holder. That's useful. I'm curious. What do they have to say about Asgore? I haven't thought that much about Asgore. I'm a little worried about how it's going to be in Chapter 5, but, like, that's kind of the only thing I'm worried about. It was weird. Like, I was kind of a lot more nervous going into, like, Chapters 3 and 4 than I was Chapter 5. I was, way more concerned about the direction I was going into, mostly because, like, things were pointing towards Kris Knight, and I did not like the idea of Kris Knight, so I'm like, oh, that's going to get confirmed. I don't really want Kris Knight at all. And then, like, chapter 3 happened, and it was not Kris Knight after all. It switcherooed on us. And that was the main thing I'm worried about. And now going into chapter 5, I'm less worried about what we're gonna get. I'm more excited. I'm a little worried about what's gonna go on with Asgore, but aside from that, I am less worried about chapters 5 than I am chapters 3 and 4. Yeah, it was such a big deal. I'm a little weirded out people are still arguing about it, but whatever. People are probably going to argue about it forever. And that's just how it is. That's just how it be. You were probably smart to leave yourself out of any night discussions. They got pretty bad. Mostly I'm just like, dang, the night was freaking cool. What a cool and scary introduction. Wait, explain this comparison to me. I don't get it. What do you mean Carol Knighters are Undertale Yellow fans and Rudy Knighters are breaking? Like, what do you mean? Do we mean like Rudy is doing the same thing as like Walter White? I have to do this for my family? Isn't that what's going on? Yeah, the way the night moves is so cool. It's so freaky, so cool. Again, Elder's Rune got like the reverse. We got like a kind of crappy night compared to cool, canon night. Yeah, I'm pretty solidly in Death's Night. I have a really hard time imagining anybody outside of Death at this point. Like I try and think of like the other options. I'm like, this just doesn't make sense in my head. Ready to be Walter White, exactly. Okay, that's pretty funny. Deltarune is the Dark Souls. I don't know about that. Okay, so the comparison with her to Soroba. Okay, I see. I see. Yeah, I'm really sorry. I know technically speaking, it's not confirmed yet, and that it could be another person, blah, 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 blah. But thinking about it, I'm like, I'm sorry. Anybody except for Des at this point just doesn't make sense in my head. Especially Rudy. Like, Rudy feels kind of insulting to me. Oh, I see. We must compare one thing to another thing. Like, if Rudy was the knight, I feel like I would be annoyed and, like, in the sense, not in the sense of like, oh, the signs were there all along. If I had just looked carefully, I would have realized this was the truth. I would be annoyed in the sense of like, I would feel like I was lied to, and not in like a fun, let's solve the mystery way. I don't know what it is about it, but that one in particular kind of grinds my gears. Which is why I was, like, really kind of frustrated that that's the way that, like, Psyculturalist went with when he was playing. Like, I fell off of watching his videos after chapters 3 and 4. I felt like he really just kind of fell apart in his analysis there, which sucks. Turn your frontal lobes off. This is another reason why it's important to read in school. Do you want to analyze a videos game? And start by analyzing this piece of literature. Sometimes the curtains are blue for a reason. It's true. And some of it is like people are kids. Like the problem I think with fandom stuff is especially like, okay, am I talking to like a 13-year-old who is still kind of practicing how to analyze stuff and, you know, doesn't know that much about what's going on, and that's fine. You know, I ain't gonna begrudge a teenager for that. Or am I talking to like a 30-year-old who should know how to, you know, do some media analysis and is just really freaking bad at it? Exactly. I do think Half Human Susie is possible at this point. That is my Speaking of literature, maybe that's my white whale, or maybe not. But if it doesn't happen, then, you know, I'm not going to be like, oh no, the game is ruined. My personal theory didn't come true. Wah, wah, wah. It sucks now. Like, that's stupid. I'm going to love the game, and I'm going to love Susie either way. So if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen, and I was wrong. But I want something going on with, like, the blood and the relationship between humans and monsters. I want that expanded upon. Even if I'm wrong about it, please don't leave that thread hanging. That's all I ask. I'll be sad if we never get, like, solid confirmation one way or another. You're half and half on it. Wah, wah, wah. When I grow up, I want to be a professional Deltarune theorist. Only some of us have achieved that goal, and I'd say that's probably Andrew Cunningham. And I guess Molly Stars, professional Deltarune theorists. And then there are some that aspire to that and are not very good at it. Cough jar. Yeah, I would like to know how Kris got into the Dreamer family. I don't know if we're ever going to get that, but that would be really nice to know. Oh yeah, I think regardless of anything else, definitely what I'm shocked people argue against is, like, Spooky Dude is really hit or miss for me. I've come to not really enjoy Spooky Dude stuff as much as I thought. Part of it is probably because, like, I'm being extremely petty about it, and I recognize that. But, yeah. Definitely I think, like, there is something related to humans in Susie's past. I don't think that can be denied. I think it would be kind of weird if there weren't humans in Susie's past. But I think that Susie being half human is actually a fairly clean explanation for a number of outstanding questions. One about Susie's past, and just about Susie herself as a character and how she views the world. And about the relationships between monsters and humans, like culturally and socially. And also provides some interesting places this can go in the future. Yeah. I don't, like, for example, I don't think we're ever going to meet Kris's real parents or anything like that. I think that's off the table. But it would be nice just to be like, okay, this is how they adopted Kris. This is why they made that decision. That would be nice to get some info on. We don't need to know about their old family. That's not important. But just a little bit more about, yeah, how they came into the Dreamer household. I would like that. Yeah, that's true, unfortunately. It is a harsh part of the fandom. That's probably my weak spot, to be honest. My weakness. You discovered my weakness. But Andrew is definitely better at it, I would say, than a lot of people. There are some good ones. Again, like, I think dorks are pretty good. I guess the problem is these are not so much theories as, like, analysis of the characters, and sometimes that leads to theorizing. I like people who can analyze the characters well. Like, again, I like dork stuff. I like Stuffed Alpaca's pretty good. Nighthawk's pretty good. But, a lot of people who just like, I'm going to make crazy theories and stuff like that. I'm like, I can see why that would be a bit of a battery drain. This is probably one, since the swords are straight on, I probably should have used a smart object for them, but oh well. Oh yeah, again, Molly Stars is good, but I think she's super busy with some other stuff, and probably be a while before we get anything. And we don't speak of Jaru anymore. No tank. Let's drop that forever, please. But I'll fully admit that this is a weakness, a badness on my part. The part of the reason why, not okay, a small part of the reason why, I do want Half Human Susie to come true, because I think on like a Spooky Dude video once, he gave that theory like a 0 stars, like the lowest possible score when going through like Deltarune theories. And so part of me is like, oh, everybody loves friggin' Woody theory. I want that to just slide off the table and then my theory to come true. In completely petty reasons. And I realize that's extremely petty of me. I know that's not good thinking. But there's a part of me, the petty part of me, that's like, what if my 0 stars one is the one that comes true and Woody theory never happens? The one everybody loves and makes memes about. Okay, as long as it's low on the petty scale. I guess it could be worse. Yeah, I don't like Woody theory. I'm sorry. I think it would be really boring if, oh, what if this is a cowboy boss? I don't care. I don't think that's very interesting. Called him out on the ACDS. Oh, I don't remember that. So yeah, that's my petty confession for the thing. What the heck is Woody theory? It's kind of meme, it's kind of like serious, but it's basically the idea that like, oh, there's going to be like a secret boss that's like a cowboy doll because Toby made a shit post once about friend inside me. Oh, okay. Yeah, I should really join Andrew Cunningham's stream server at some point. I poke into his streams when I can. So I should just join the server at some point. I've just been putting it off. But yeah, just that there will be a secret boss that's like a cowboy doll like Woody who's like possessed and stuff. And like, yeah, it's pretty much like what if Woody from Toy Story was Spampton? And that's why I'm like, that's boring. We already did that. We did that already. We don't need to do that again, especially now. In theory, that desperate to find Des, the shelter was tied to Des's disappearance, tried to convince Alvin and Carol to open the shelter. They disagree, so Alter with Rudy and Garrison goes into the shelter. End up encountering the Roaring Knight. They fight the Knight, manage to get a black shard. The Knight fatally wounds Garrison. Asgore and Rudy manage to get out of the shelter. Asgore gets fired due to Garrison death. That's a lot of crazy. I guess we don't know how Garrison died. Not the worst not the worst idea, I'd say. It's kind of fanfiction-y, but, like, that's what I've done with my theory, so I can't even fault it for that. So, like, as a, we're gonna fanfiction our way out of how this might have happened, that's decent. That's a pretty decent, storytelling, thing to that, I think. That's probably the correct, reaction to have, is just, like, sure, let's see. I will admit a lot of them I'm kind of like, okay, we'll find out. Like, anything about, like, Friend or Mike, I'm like, I don't actually care that much about Mike or Friend, so, like, will this happen with Mike or Friend? I'm like, well, maybe, sure, we'll find out. The Susie one is the one I'm all invested in, for personal reasons, obviously. I'm not super invested in what Friend is doing. I don't really want Friend to be, like, secretly the big bad. That's the evil one pulling the strings, because I don't think that's very interesting. But, like, whatever happens with Friend, I'll probably be like, okay, that's cool. We'll find out. The lore pit gets wild. That is what I've heard. I've heard that the lore pit gets kind of insane. I guess that's where the theorists just kind of duke it out in Mortal Kombat. I will say, okay, I need to take my stretch break now. I will say that, like, my original thoughts were in regards to, like, oh, Kris and Caddy at one point summoned a demon, or tried to summon a demon. My initial thought was like, oh, that was the player. Like, that was that comic I drew. But if you told me now that, oh, the demon they tried to summon was Friend, I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, I can see that. I think that's plausible. So in terms of Friend's origin, Friend being the demon that Kris and Caddy summoned, and then some bad things resulted from that, I think that's reasonable and plausible. I can buy that. That maybe Kris was frustrated with Des for whatever reason, did this, stuff, and then if we want to connect Friend to Des's disappearance, which I can take or leave, I don't think that necessarily has to happen. Again, if that happens, I'll be like, okay. If it doesn't, okay. But if it did happen, that would at least, like, make Kris feel like they were at fault. So that's doable. That's another good point. What is a demon in this world? That's a good question. Because heck, we already have questions about angels in this world, because to them the angel is basically God, when that's not typically how angels work in like Christian theology. Yeah, friend is a plot element that I have nothing on. Yeah, I wouldn't even mind if like they don't answer a lot of questions about friend. If they leave friend like open ended and open interpretation, I would be fine with that. I am not very picky about what happens with friend. I don't want friend to again be like, I'm the big bad, I'm the Mandela catalog creepypasta villain that you have to defeat, and I'm inside the Woody doll, blah blah blah. Like that seems kind of lame. But there are people have suggested plenty of options for friend, and I'm like, okay, sure, that's doable. I'm not again super invested. Same with Mike. People are like, what about the real Mike? I'm like, I don't really care that much. If there is like a real Mike that comes up again and it's relevant, I'll be like, okay, neat. Yeah, it's risen in the scene where friend is introduced. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And it's especially kind of weird because especially in Undertale, the concept of angels and demons is there too, but it's never really like expanded upon as much. It's like, oh, there's an angel that has seen the surface. That could be Asriel, it could be us. It's very vague. And then when it comes to demons, that's even more vague because it's just like unused stuff in the code. It's so vague. It's kind of frustrating, especially with Deltron, because again, like I was talking about last time, Noelle has this association with angels and Kris has this association with demons. These clearly are going to play a bigger role in Deltarune, not just symbolic roles. So, yeah, and Kara calling himself a demon. It's a bit more muddy in Undertale, whereas here it seems a bit more relevant to the world, to the characters. I know there's a lot of like talk going around about who is the angel. Is it us the player? Is it Noelle? And that is a bit of a messy subject. I'm still not sure what to do with the whole, angels banished will meet his desire thing. That's ominous, but very vague. Alright, I will be right back for one more stretch and water and stuff. Whee! Alright, I return with more water. This will be our last session before I must head off to lunch, as I have barely scratched the surface of page 3 out of 11. Hooray! Ah. Ah. Yeah, that's kind of my thinking too. Like I was talking about last time, the symbolism with angels and Noelle means something really important, but I'm not necessarily inclined toward, oh, she's just the angel from the prophecy yet. I lean more towards player angel, but I do recognize that there are problems with that. So, however it goes, we will see. It's something important. That much is clear. But I don't know how exactly that's all going to work out. And I guess we will find out. But yeah, basically, once we get to Chapter 5, in terms of theory stuff, I'll mostly be looking to see if my half-human Susie theory comes true. And if it does, then you'll probably hear my dolphin screeches from, like, low orbit. And if it doesn't, then, oh well, you know, I was wrong and we move on with life. And, you know, again, I'm not going to love Susie any less if my theory is not true, because she is the best no matter what. But otherwise, like, I'm not super worried about certain theories in Chapter 5. All the Kris angst. I'm certain we're going to get a lot of that. That is inevitable. Lore Pit is not Mortal Kombat. A cavalcade of orangutans who care more about getting fire reacts than keeping... Well, that's imagery. Wait, what? I mean, some carriole, on the other hand, I'm like, oh, interesting, but... that sure is an image. This is the source of the Kris angst. That's extremely funny. Yeah, overall, I'm not terribly worried about whatever we get in Chapter 5. Like the theories that I don't want to happen, I feel like have only been getting less likely with time, and like with the new chapters, I've been like, okay, I'm enjoying. Oh my goodness! Thank you for the raid. Hello. Thank you for coming. We got about another half hour of drawing to do. I'm working on some backgrounds for this Eldritch Rune comic, which is my Deltarune AU. There's a lot of backgrounds involved, and these are some fancy ones, so I'm probably going to be on this one for a while. Thank you guys for the raid. Quick change topic. We can't be talking about Deltarune theories. Oh no. What were we talking about before? Disneyland rides. That was something we were talking about a while back. But hello. Thank you for coming. Appreciate you being here. If you are new, my name is Lynx Griffin. I do a lot of Deltarune fan stuff. This is, again, I'm working on my AU, which takes forever, but we do it a little bit at a time. And then usually on Friday evenings, I stream a video game of some kind. And right now I'm on TS Underswap because I have not gotten to that yet. And it's been pretty fun so far. And then, yeah, Sunday mornings I do art. Never played Deltarune? Oh, it's fun. It is very fun. Have you played Undertale? If you haven't played Undertale, I would recommend you do that first. Again, obviously a very great game. But you will get more out of Deltarune if you've played Undertale first. It's still fun even if you haven't, but you do get a little bit more out of it. Oh yeah, you should definitely play it. I would say if on your first playthrough, probably about 6 to 8 hours. I'm trying to remember how long it took me to get through my first playthrough of Undertale. Although, be warned then, if you're in my chat, we'll talk a lot of spoilers. We can try and change some subjects so that we're not quite so spoiler heavy. We were literally just talking about Deltarune theories and the madness that is involved with them, because it is true madness. But, Yes, definitely play Undertale first. Especially works if you're blind. If you haven't played Undertale first or haven't heard about it, it's a really good game to play blind. I feel extremely lucky that when I first played it, I really hadn't heard that much about it. Yeah, no more Cariel. Quick, put away the Cariel. We can't let people know how we live. The more risque version of Chariel. Yeah, I'm really glad that I played Undertale blind when I did. Especially nowadays on the internet, it's really hard to go into games blind. Oh no, they hate it? Oh no, I thought Andrew was on board with that idea. At least from what I saw. Like, I know there are people, like, in his server that don't like it. But, okay. I understand that. Like, sometimes I often forget spoilers, too. Yeah, especially if you don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, like, from what I understand, Andrew kind of got on board. I don't know why people hate it so much. I don't know. I'm like... Oh, whoops, I popped a thing ahead. Like, if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen, and it's not a big deal, I think. If it does happen, people act like, whoa, this is like an incredibly weird, crazy thing for the lore, and Toby would never do that. I'm like, no, this seems perfectly reasonable within the context of the game. And, like, fantasy stories in general. The whole concept of, like, you know, people being half human and half dragon, or people, you know, having non-human ancestry, that's like millennia old. And people were doing that in Bible times. Like, I say, like, what are they going to say to, like, the Cruzy shippers and the Krizel shippers? Is Kris doomed to be alone forever? Honestly, I even feel like her being half human kind of, like, will settle some questions about biology. We know at the very least it's different from Undertale. They can't handle monster-human action, not even the implication. I'm like, my dudes, then maybe you're in the wrong fandom. This is a story with humans and monsters interacting. No, it hasn't gotten mentioned, but I think that certainly there's potential for it. You're banned from breeding. Which, okay. Ooh. I definitely think that part of the reason why it hasn't gotten mentioned yet is I think a plot point is that it's not possible in Undertale. People be like, oh, it's not possible for, like, this to happen in Undertale. I'll be like, yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the reasons why the rules are a little different between these universes. No Krizel fan children. What about the cute fan kids? I don't think Toby would put the kibosh on that. I think that would be not very imaginative. I know, it's weird how kind of, like, I'll see people just, like, make associations that I agree or don't agree with. It's, they're like, oh, no, this wasn't, you know, said at all in Undertale, therefore it's not real. I'm like, I agree. I don't think it's possible in Undertale, but we're not talking about Undertale. We're talking about Deltarune, which is a different universe with different rules. That's not very cash money of you, Toby. Like, at the very least, at the very, very least, there is a difference between how monster biology works in Undertale versus Deltarune. And Susie proves that by bleeding. You know, at the end of Chapter 4. The two explanations for that are either one, yes, all monsters bleed in this universe, and Susie's not special in that regard, which already makes it different from Undertale, where monsters are made of magic and, you know, don't have that kind of stuff because they don't have a lot of water. So either they're already different from monsters in Undertale that way, or the other option is monsters do not normally bleed in Deltarune, but Susie does, which means she's an outlier, which means a perfectly reasonable explanation for that is that she's half human. So, either way, they're different from Undertale monsters. Yeah, like this is... This is not even like, okay, here's something that I find always really frustrating. People like things from different species can't have kids, and I'm like, yes, they can in real life. That's mules, that's ligers, that's, coy wolves. Humans interbred with Neanderthals. We have DNA evidence of that now. And that's just real life. This is like a fantasy story where you can make up whatever rules you want. So the whole idea of that's not biologically possible, it's like, that's not actually a good argument for what we're talking about here. We're talking about a fantasy story. I don't know how you would read that either. I'm sorry. I just don't. I think that Sans is a special case. I don't think they do in Undertale. If they did, then Undyne would have. In that one part of... Oh, we're just talking all spoilers now for the Raiders, so... Sorry, Raiders. We didn't stick with no spoilers rule very well. Yeah. Why World could turn to Beast in Dark. It could be. Yeah, the whole thing about Everybody Bleeds is that line comes from Susie. At the very least, I think it's good to assume that, like, she learned this from being around humans. So either she's right about it, and that is true, or she's wrong about it, and she thinks that because she has only grown up around humans. Either way, I think that's evidence that she's grown up around humans because, as I saw people point out, she uses a lot of human idioms. She kind of talks more human-y things than other monsters do. She feels kind of estranged from her own monsterhood. Which is a little weird because she doesn't want to be a human. She's not like reverse Kris situation. Where Kris is like, oh, I'm the only human in a town of monsters and I wish I was a monster. She doesn't want to be a human. She likes big kaiju. She wishes she was more monster. And I think that is kind of a big indicator of like, okay, this might be the half-human thing going on where she's stuck between two worlds. And the world she wants to lean into more is the monster one. Expect to hear the spoilers. Yeah, even her name is humanish. She got them body dysmorphias. Her name is kind of like a human name as opposed to monster names, which are like, Rudolph Holiday, Carol Holiday, Caddy Kattenheimer, Jockington, Azrael Dreamer. Like, they are... Monster names seem pretty different from human names, whereas Susie is just Susie, which is kind of interesting for, like, a clearly dragonish monster. And, even, like, there's that one line Birdley has where he's talking to Kris and he's like, no, he's yelling at Susie and he's like, no, Susie, this is between human to bird. No Susies allowed. And it's like, what, do you not know her species? Why are you calling her a Susie? Like, he can't quite tell. Yeah, I think if we do see one of her parents, it would be her dad. I don't think we're ever going to see her mom. Going off the idea that her mom is the human one, don't think, like, at best we might see a flashback silhouette. I don't think we're ever going to see her in person. She's a Susie. The Susiest of the Susies. Which is too bad. It would be nice, but I think for the purposes of, like, we really emphasize that Kris is, like, the only human in town, we're not going to get to see much. Yeah, that's how I think that's going to play out in Chapter 5. I think that's going to be her big, the card she plays against Susie to basically turn her on the town. Because I know there's a lot of stuff like, oh, people are going to turn on Susie for the church getting trashed. I think there's complications for that idea that might work. Again, how do you make sure Kris isn't implicated? How do you do something about it when the police are gone? What is Father Alvin doing right now? We don't even know. So I don't think, oh, the church got trashed. And heck, Susie might have cleaned it up off screen during the night, especially if she doesn't want to go home. It might not even be an issue in the next chapter. But, so I think that one may or may not work as like I'm going to, you know, get people to turn on Susie sort of thing. But I think if Carol revealed that around the festival in front of like the whole town, and people were like, what the hell, that's kind of gross and stuff like that. And this is clearly like something that bothers Susie, because she does not bring it up ever, because why would she? Every time, you know, this has made her life horrible for her entire life. Now she finally has the chance to basically pass. Can't tell what Carol outing Susie would look like. I did kind of fanfiction this out. I don't know if you saw that post a while back. I kind of fanfictioned it out, where she basically kind of, you know, baits or tricks Susie into like getting smacked on the face or the nose or something like that, and making her bleed in front of everybody. And it's like, oh, shocking, and then like reveals it from that way. And mostly the reason why I'm doing that is because of that unused sprite of Carol, where she has something splattered on her face and she has a smug expression, and I'm like, what the hell is this sprite? What does that mean? Why is this sitting here unused? What is that on her face? But how would Carol get info on Susie being half human? Easy to come across. If she's got records of, you know, who rented the apartment Susie's living in, any adoption papers, stuff like that. Like, this is information that she could get access to, I think, pretty easily. So, yeah, this would not be hard for Carol to get her hands on. I think that probably, like, if people learn that information, like, some people would be like, kind of gross, but some people would like... I don't think people would react as badly as Carol or Susie think to it. Because I do think monsters would be more, like, I don't think that Toriel would be like, oh no, I don't think it would turn Toriel against her. But it's not about, like, you know, will the town actually turn against her? I think just Susie would be so devastated and embarrassed that she would isolate herself even further. That she would not try and give people the chance to get close to her again. So, and it might also cause, again, some issues with Noelle if Susie was keeping this from her. Oh my goodness, yeah. Oh. Yeah, imagine how that would work against Kris. Oh my goodness. It seems like there's, you know, kind of a small hints of it, like Snowy being a little bit racist towards Kris for being human. Like, don't you have a sense of humor? And Snowy's like, you can't say that. Yeah, stupid bunny kid not getting how humans work. But if this, like, ignited some kind of bigotry, then Kris might get some splash damage from that. Yeah, I was talking about that video essay earlier. It's a really good one. It's a good one. Well, I don't know if Snowy hates her for no reason. I think Snowy is scared of her. Basically, I think Susie's like, I'm big and scary bluff worked on Snowy and Monster Kid. And they're scared of her. Oh, yay! I'm glad my recommendation worked. Yay. Yeah, honestly, Demo, that is exactly why I think it also applies to Sans. That is exactly why. Because I'm looking at this from the perspective of, okay, I do actually think that Sans in Undertale is from Deltarune. And he traveled there at some point. However, if we're going to make this assumption that Sans from Undertale is from Deltarune, part of the evidence towards that is that, okay, he has, like, the photo of the 3 people, you know, don't forget, the photos of him with all the smiling people, blah, blah, blah. So, he has made friends with people in Deltarune. Like, these are people that he misses, that he wishes he could go back to, and he can't. So, in that sense, he needs to then make friends with people there before this happens, and he hasn't really done that yet. He is, you know, he's never met Ralsei, and he's on really bad terms with Susie and Kris right now. The idea is that if he's come from Deltarune, then he should have at least been friends with Susie and Kris and Noelle. And I think, like, you know, if we get this big reveal of Susie is half human and she feels completely isolated and alone, and then Sans steps in and is like, hey, you know, is basically like the older queer to her, is the kind of person who's like, hey, I'm the adult who's in the same, you know, rare minority as you. You're going to be fine, you know, don't let the bastards get you down kind of thing. And is basically kind of like, serves as a reminder that, hey, Susie is not as alone as she thinks she is. I think that's going to go a long way towards, like, immediately turning around Sans in the hero's books by doing right by Susie, because if you do right by Susie, then you've gained points in, like, Kris and Noelle and Rousey's books. All the souls will make Kris and Susie like Sans. Yeah, exactly. Like this is a bit of a character development thing for him, too. And that he has to also learn, hey, I can't just, like, ignore this stuff or be like, oh, you know, the kids are going to be fine, I don't have to talk about it kind of thing. That he has to be like, oh, these kids are actually going through troubles, I gotta kind of, like, care. Oh, yeah, I imagine that people would, like, you know, throw a giant fit about it, but at the same time, I think that could be a really interesting thing, that this is, like, a thing that Susie and Sans bond over. Is them having this shared experience of being, like, a very rare minority in a culture kind of thing. And heck, I will argue that we've already gotten a hint of it in the scene with Sans in chapter 4, wherein he's he's talking to Susie and Kris, but he's kind of talking more to Susie. Yeah, the Clopin joke. His whole thing with that part is that he is making a joke back and forth, mostly with Susie, on, like, hey, wow, look at this thing that's in between two states. A kind of in-between state. If only there was a word for that. Huh, look, a skeleton is here in the Clopin state. Isn't that funny? Like, it's almost like he's trying to subtly hint something to Susie, and she's not picking up on it. Because otherwise that whole conversation is kind of like, what's going on with this conversation here? But if you interpret it through that sense of where he's kind of throwing some hints towards Susie of like, hey girl, I recognize something about you that I share. Ha ha ha, what's this little joke going around about in-between states? Then that could be interesting way to interpret that. But yeah, she doesn't pick up on it because she's dense. Game recognizes game, pretty much. It could just be Sans being a jokester. That's possible. It's of course possible. But I think if that is the direction that it is going to go, that could be set up for it. Yeah, I'm the janitor, and I'm also the manager, and I'm the janitor kind of thing. Yeah, there's got to be some, and especially if there is something going on with Sans being half human, then it's got to relate to Papyrus in some way, and the fact that we have not seen him at all so far. That is highly suspicious. If the assumption is that Papyrus and Sans are both from Deltarune's universe, which seems very likely. I don't know why Sans would, escape a universe and not take his brother with him. And there's kind of other setups for that. Then there then becomes questions of like, okay, in Undertale, Sans bleeds, but Papyrus doesn't. Sans knows what humans look like, and Papyrus doesn't. What is going on with that? Like something has happened with Papyrus that he's like gotten amnesia or something. It's really weird. He doesn't want to go outside. His flesh is still melting off his bones. That's why we got the bone trestle. Like, it is definitely a wild theory. I know people were like, what the hell? That's not what deal with Papyrus, blah, blah, blah. And I understand that fully. But there's still these open questions about what is going on with Papyrus compared between Undertale and Deltarune. And I was like, that's a possibility. It's very likely it's, something else. But I will say it's more likely than him being the knight. Sorry. Yeah, It's a big open question of like, okay, if all monsters bleed in Deltarune, and Papyrus and Sans are both from Deltarune, then why is there discrepancies between them in Undertale? Something must have happened. So we'll see how far I get on this. He ran out of blood. He used up his monthly blood allotment. I'm like, no, guys, it's not Papyrus. I'm sorry. It's time to let go. Lore Pit was more popular than Sang Susie. Wait, well, this is pre-chapters 3 and 4. Like, I think it's pretty clear now, no, he's not the knight post-chapters 3 and 4. But then, okay, then what's the explanation for what's going on with Papyrus? Like, I know my theory is pretty outlandish. People will be like, if that happened, people will be like, what in the hell is going on? But I'm curious what people think is going on if it's not that. Regarding Papyrus, because I don't think he's the knight. So Papyrus is not the knight. What is his deal? And especially if Sans traveled from Undertale to Deltarune, which I do think he did, because I think the evidence for that's pretty strong, then if that happened, then what is the deal with Papyrus and Undertale? Why is there that discrepancy between you know, what Papyrus knows and what Sans knows? Because again, I don't think Papyrus is stupid. Yeah, I can see it being a half-siblings thing. My initial proposal was like, oh, he's also half human, but he looks like a human. Which is why he does not want to go out into, you know, monster society, because he's afraid of what people are going to think of him. But them being half-siblings, I think totally reasonable explanation as well. I hope we get answers for that in the future. Yeah, stepbrother is perfectly fine explanation. I know if it's kind of like, oh, they're both half and he's something weird's going on with him, that gets kind of complicated. But stepbrother's perfectly serviceable explanation. I certainly don't think that, you know, their relationship, Sans and Papyrus's relationship as brothers, would be like, you know, diminished in any way if they were stepbrothers. They're both from the All Skeletons orphanage. Here's a question: if we have skeleton monsters that are based off of human skeletons, are there skeleton monsters based off of like other animals? Are there cat skeleton monsters? Are there bird skeleton monsters? Are there skeleton monsters and they're just like, you know, the fake skeletons you get from the Halloween store, where like we decided to make a spider skeleton even though spiders don't have bones? We're just going to take all these animals that like don't have bones and give them like fake bones. I hope that happens, because that'd be really funny. Wait, when did we decide he was a dragon skeleton? When was that decided? Ancient reference. Like, is the suggestion that the Gaster Blasters like are literally his heads? Is that what's happening? Okay, I think I'll do this last panel and then I gotta stop and do my lunch break. Sword, 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 swords. It's all swords all the time. I gotta have his books. Oh gosh, I know I got that asked in an ask once. I didn't like that document at all. You would think I would. I guess. They must have thought I would, but I tried reading that, and I was like, what the hell is this? I don't like this at all. This is just a mess. This is mush. I mean, it's funny to say. I guess it's a meme theory, the same way Woody theory is a meme theory. And maybe that's why I don't like it. I don't like meme theories. I don't find them fun. It is fun. Like, it's funny to say, but like taking it seriously, like trying to read that document literally hurt my head. I'm like, this is so badly explained. What are you saying here? This doesn't make any sense. And the only reason all of that mush was all put together was it seemed like, well, obviously Gaster's going to be the final boss we fight, and Susie would have to have a reason to fight the final boss and care about it, so obviously she has to be his daughter. And I'm like, wait a minute. Hold up. When did we decide that first thing? I think we're going to have to back up to step 1 here. Before we get into some truly ridiculous color theory stuff going on. Ugh. I know, it's so hard to tell sometimes people like take a theory seriously, or if it's like a meme theory kind of thing. I think half the reason people like even talk about, you know, Papyrus Night or whatever, like, it's the meme, haha, it's obviously Papyrus, which, like, okay, same joke. Yeah, it was just like 12 pages of like, here's pattern recognition, and I'm like, that didn't amount to anything that I could see. Some of it was like contradictory pattern recognition. Like, some of it was like, oh, it's this pattern, and also it's this pattern. I'm like, well, they both can't be true at the same time. You gotta pick one or the other. And also, like, maybe think about thematic reasons this would happen. Sword, 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 swords. Alright, when we're done with sword, Hall of Swords, then I've got to go get some lunch. Probably scared off all the raiders with lore pit talk. Oh well. As it goes. It's like, okay, friend is associated with pink and yellow. Now what? If the curtains are blue, what does blue mean? Oh, good. Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you all are sticking around through the silliness. The silly vanilliness. Although, I have been going for about 3 hours, so I'm hungry, and I gotta go get myself a sandwich. And go out into the world and buy the yogurt that was supposed to arrive with my groceries, and it did not arrive. And also feed Alfie some crickets. And crickets. She needs protein because she's finally starting to shed. Hooray. She's getting the itches. She's got like a little bit of shed on her head, and like a band of her tail, and some of her back legs and stuff like that. Okay. Woo. What we got through about 3.5 pages today out of 11. That's progress. We'll probably be doing more of this in the future. Maybe not next week. Maybe next week I'll switch to something else. We'll go to... Let's go back to a more fun page. This was a fun one. Save. But yeah, maybe next week I'll pop over to characters so we don't just have backgrounds for weeks on end, because I know those are a little less fun. But that is fine. We are getting through these backgrounds one bit at a time. Again, I'm a little crazy that we're in like the double digits now in terms of ending parts. That's wild. But I think now is where I need to stop and get my lunch. Oh, thank you guys so much for coming to this stream and yelling with me about various silly video game things and all the other stuff. Thank you guys for raiding once again. You all are super cool. Again, there'll be more TS Underswap on Friday, and then probably more of drawing next Sunday, so we continue on. Alright, I will try and join the ACDS. I'll do it at some point. I know I keep putting it off. Anyways, thank you again. I always appreciate you guys being here and chatting with me. It's always a good time. Unbelievably welcome. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Go out and enjoy the sun if it's sunny where you are. And yeah, I will see you all next time. Alrighty, see you later.